Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. Today I want to talk about the real #1 distraction when you are competing at pool. The reason I say the real is because one of my favorite YouTube channels a couple weeks ago was talking about turning off your cell phone while you're playing pool. And I saw this and I had a flashback. One of the best local players that we have here is a young man named Josh Brothers. And I guess Josh is not that young anymore, but I knew him when he was young. And I watched Josh run a rack of 10 ball while he held the phone to his ear and walked around the table shooting balls off. Just for the record, I can't do that. And it occurred to me how many times I have taken calls in the middle of a match, which is really stupid, by the way. Had my phone vibrating in my pocket or different things that occurred that had to do with my phone in the middle of a match. I live such a life where I have a couple people that are extremely dependent on me and I have to be on call 24/7. My phone is never turned off. Those of you who are my students or friends of mine, you know 2 o'clock in the morning, Bryan answers a text. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Bryan answers a phone call. 3 o'clock in the morning, Bryan answers a text. You get the point. I simply have to be accessible 24 hours a day. So that said, I'm one of the thousands of people who cannot turn their phone off to avoid distractions. And it also occurred to me that your phone is not your #1 distraction when you were trying to play pool. Your #1 distraction is you. You are the #1 distraction. It is up here. You need to learn to not chase your problems away, your distractions away, or turn them off because you can't. Your distraction might not be your phone. It might be the drunk at the other end of the bar. It might be the sexy girl over in the corner. It could be the fact that you're playing on a crappy table. You need to handle the distraction here. So how do you go about doing that? There are 3 things I'm going to recommend to you. 2 of them, the large majority of you are not going to do. And 1 of them, you really all should be doing, but you're probably not going to do. So let's start with that one. The #1 way to learn to avoid distractions, to handle distractions, is to learn to meditate. Now, it sounds like mumble jumble to half of you. The other half, it sounds like something you should be doing, but you're probably not going to put in the time to do. The reality is, once you learn the proper techniques for meditation, which is going to take you all of an hour, you can then just meditate 10 minutes a day. Think about all of the athletes, the hundreds of athletes, that this is part of their everyday ritual. If you ever played basketball for Phil Jackson, guess what? You are involved in meditation. You certainly were involved in meditation while you were on the Lakers or on the Chicago Bulls because it was a mandatory thing going on in his locker room. And players such as Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, of course, have all been very heavy into meditation, not to mention people like Tiger Woods. So that said, meditation is one of the #1 things because it will teach you. Meditation strengthens the muscles that allow you to stay focused and stay in the moment and have good breathing techniques. #2, this is a little out there and it's expensive, and I don't know that a lot of you are going to try it, but hypnosis. A lot of serious athletes and not so serious athletes go through hypnotherapists to help them out with their game or their sport or whatever it might be. If you decide that you want to give it a shot, be very careful about who you go to. Like everything else, some hypnotists are better than others. It's not that something bad is going to happen to you, but it is expensive. The thing that comes along with it, or at least came along with the hypnotist that I went to see, was he taught me to use self-hypnosis. He actually had me leave with, at the time it was, believe it or not, a cassette tape that allowed me to learn self-hypnosis. And it is a dynamic way to improve your ability to focus and get rid of distractions and things like that, because the suggestion has been planted in your brain So you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to put any techniques in place while you are at the table. The third thing is something that all of you can do, and it is what I recommend out of the three because it doesn't cost you anything. Meditation, like I said, a lot of you won't even put any effort for 10 minutes a day, but this is even fun and it helps with your game. And that is what I call distraction training. I'm sure there's a better name for it out there, but that's what I think of it as, distraction training. So how do you train for distractions? By literally distracting yourself and practicing under those conditions. Now, it doesn't have to be something extreme. In fact, it shouldn't be. Like everything else, if you were starting a free weight program or something like that, or you're going to run a marathon, you wouldn't start by running the length of the marathon on your first time out. And if you were doing strength training, you wouldn't start by lifting your body weight the first time out. What you do is you start with very small distractions. It can simply be putting that show that you hate on TV, maybe The View or something like that, and turning up the volume while you practice, and then increasing the intensity by putting something on there that you hate even more, and then increasing the volume. Everybody that I know, and I say, what type of music do you like? I like everything, they say. Well, that's bullshit, because you don't. I cover more areas of music than just about anybody, but I don't like everything. So one of the things that you can do is play music that you don't like. How about playing 3 different songs at the same time that you don't like? Let them overlap with each other. Now, this is advanced training. You don't want to start with this, but things like that will teach you to stay focused during the times of pressure and the times that you would have normal distractions. Pressure and distractions can be totally different things. A lot of people like to write off their pressure, the pressure that they feel at the table, and blame it on distractions. And we're going to talk about that in a future video. So have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you later.
Oh, are we on the air?